This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather. Continuing coverage of Campaign 2000, the battle for the White House. From CBS News Election Headquarters in New York, here is Dan Rather.
Good evening. It is now 2 weeks since Election Day. Florida's highest state court is working overtime on key rulings that could help finally decide whether Texas Governor George Bush or Vice President Al Gore becomes the next president. Here's the latest. The 7 justices of the state Supreme Court are weighing whether to include hand counts and recounts from 3 disputed counties in Florida's certified final tally, as Gore wants. The court is also considering whether to set rules, standards for the hand counts. Bush lawyers argue today the court lacks jurisdiction to do that. Democrats call this a Republican stalling tactic without legal merit. We begin for you with CBS's Byron Pitts in Tallahassee, waiting on the court. Byron?
Well, Dan, the justices began their deliberations at 8:30 this morning. At this hour, there's a growing sense of anticipation. They could announce their ruling at any moment.
Raise your right hand and...
It was a moment thick with possibilities. State Supreme Court Justice Charles T. Wells, the man of the moment, swearing into office Florida's newest lawmakers. Men and women who in the end could well decide which presidential candidate will carry Florida. If the legal battle of George W. Bush versus Albert Gore is not decided by December 12th, this majority Republican legislature can appoint the winner of Florida's 25 electoral votes. Century-old legislation waiting in the wings if the modern rule of law is delayed much longer.
There is no timetable at the present time as to when a decision is going to be made. We just don't know.
What is known are the key issues before the 7 justices. Did Florida's Secretary of State Katherine Harris use her discretion properly by setting a deadline for vote certification before the manual recounts were in? Must she now include hand-recounted votes? And how should election workers count those disputed punch card ballots in South Florida? If Bush loses in state Supreme Court, his lawyers are prepared to fight again in federal court, arguing the manual recount is unconstitutional.
If the Supreme Court ruled against us, then that case could be reinvigorated to explore the federal constitutional issue.
If Gore loses, litigation is still an option.
Well, our goal is pretty simple. Let's count the votes and then have those counts added to the tallies.
Today, the only public judgment came from state Republicans as they gave Secretary of State Harris a hero's welcome. She's the one player most often vilified by Democrats. Meantime, tonight, with growing uncertainty as to when or how this will end, everyone waits. Today, lawyers for both sides filed more legal briefs, more arguments about the issue of the punch card ballot. Dan?
Byron Pitts in Tallahassee. While the Florida Supreme Court is out, the hand count of ballots goes on. Whether to include ballots that were not completely punched through could be crucial in the final Florida tally. Take Broward County, for instance. CBS's Jim Axelrod is there. Jim?
Dan, if the High Court decides to include the hand-counted ballots, then it could all come down to what happens in 3 South Florida recount rooms like the one behind me, which is why both campaigns are now aggressively targeting the rules these counters use to operate.
2 weeks after the election, it's still not clear what exactly counts as a vote in Florida.
What's a vote and what isn't?
I don't know. And for Ed Pasquale, the Republican chairman in Broward County, this is what well could decide Campaign 2000. When is a chat a vote, and when is it just a dimpled piece of paper?
Now what they want to do is lower the bar to allow for more subjectivity.
This past weekend, canvassing board members in Broward County relaxed their rules to consider chads with just one corner punched through, or even no corners, just a dimple.
We didn't change it mid-game. This is what we should have been doing all along.
Republicans see a plot.
6 is an undervote, possibly for Gore.
The focus is shifting to thousands of other ballots that counters and observers have been unable to agree on in the 3 counties. These ballots have been set aside, and the canvassing boards, all entirely or majority Democrat, will now have to decide the voters' intent.
Now, it's conceivable there may be some that the mark is so slight you're not sure if that was in fact what was intended. But in the vast majority of them, you're going to be able to look at the ballot and say, yep, this is what the voter intended to do.
This question of intent will be subject of yet another court hearing tomorrow. Democrats will ask a Palm Beach County judge to furnish specific guidelines on how canvassing boards should look at a given ballot and decide what the voter meant. Dan?
Jim Axelrod. Vice President Gore is deciding what to do next depending on what the courts now decide about the hand counts. CBS's John Roberts is at the White House with more about this. John?
Dan, even if the vice president prevails in the battle of the so-called dimpled chads, his campaign believes that he would win Florida only by the narrowest of margins. Best case scenario, anywhere between 100 and 300 votes. Should he lose his case at the state Supreme Court of Florida and the election is certified for Bush, it's likely that Gore would still have enough support among Democrats to challenge the results of the election, but anything beyond that would be a tough sell. According to Nebraska Senator Bob Kerrey, the vice president acknowledges he can't drag this out forever.
He is going to stop and say, I still believe on the 7th of November I had a majority of the votes, but I know this thing's got to go on. I know that the electors have to be certified, and I know that I may not end up being president.
The standard of voter intent in counting ballots is the critical element in Gore's strategy to win Florida and the election. If those dimples get thrown out, his chances to be president could get tossed out along with them. Dan?
John Roberts at the White House. Now over to the Bush campaign and the thinking there tonight. CBS News correspondent Bill Whitaker is in Austin, Texas. Bill?
Dan, a chief Bush aide tonight described the situation over at headquarters as frozen, that everyone is stuck in place waiting for that decision out of Florida. Meanwhile, Governor Bush made great show of returning to his regular schedule, going to the Capitol to work in the morning, taking time midday to work out. But a source close to Bush says he's also looking to the future, preparing for the White House. Despite criticism that it seemed presumptuous, he's still discussing transition with his staff, getting briefings on how to work with members of Congress. This source says that Bush thinks the Democrats made a huge blunder in trying to challenge those military absentee ballots, and that Bush, unlike Gore, isn't trying to micromanage the troops in Florida. And he also says that Bush has steely confidence he will prevail. Dan?
Bill Whitaker in Austin. The calendar is becoming critical now. Take a look. It's November 21st. Under federal law, Florida should certify its electors by December 12th, 3 weeks from today, if they're to join the rest of the Electoral College in voting for president 6 days later, December 18th. And with the election as close as it is, CBS's Eric Ingberg reports there's unusual interest in the usually anonymous men and women who will gather that day.
At first glance, it looks like the 50 state capitals where the Electoral College will meet on December 18th might be the next battleground for this endless election. Half the states don't legally bind the electors to vote for the popular vote winner. And it's happened 9 times in history. Most recently in '88, an elector has voted for someone other than the popular vote winner. This time, it would matter. If George Bush ultimately wins Florida, he will apparently have 271 electoral votes and victory. But if any 3 of Bush's electors change sides, becoming what historians call faithless electors, Gore wins. Although the Gore staff says it's not planning such a fight, other Democrats are. Bob Beckel ran the party's presidential campaign in '84.
If a couple electors were to switch in this year, would that surprise a lot of people? I mean, after what we've been through, nothing can surprise us anymore.
But here's what Democrats seeking to peel off Bush electors are up against. Vince Callahan, he's the one on the right, is a typical Bush elector. He's the senior Republican in the Virginia legislature, a GOP loyalist to the core. Fat chance.
The reason I'm an elector is because I wanted the opportunity to actually vote for George W. Bush, who I think will be next president.
Eric Tannenblatt is a Georgia Bush elector. He also happened to be the Georgia Bush-Cheney chairman and helped choose all the state's electors, whom he pronounces unmovable.
They're not only committed to Governor Bush, but they're committed to the philosophy of our party. And I believe that they are 100% solidly behind Governor Bush and Secretary Cheney.
So an electoral college slugfest for votes with all kinds of offers and deals being made might sound like a fascinating scenario. But given who the electors are, it's not likely to happen. Eric Ingberg, CBS News, Washington.
Still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, dozens of crash reports. Will this turn into a bad year for Goodyear? And Snow Joe, a surprise blizzard buries Buffalo.
The The CBS Evening News and tonight's Eye on America segment are sponsored by Aflac. Without it, no insurance is complete.
Want to start a family?
Right now?
I just got supplemental insurance.
What's that?
Aflac. Well, if we get sick, our health insurance won't cover things like lost pay or other expenses. This does.
What's it called?
Aflac! I don't know.
Aflac. Without it, no insurance is complete.
If you have high blood pressure, you know all these cold medicines warn you not to take them. So take their advice. Don't take them. Take decongestant-free Coricidin HBP. Powerful relief that won't raise your blood pressure.
You could grab an off-the-shelf computer for someone you love this holiday, or give them a computer that's built uniquely for them. A truly personal computer that's been turned into a music machine, or movie theater, or photo gallery, with training classes so they can get the most out of it. We think you can spot the better gift. Start with a fully loaded Gateway PC for less than $23 a month, including a year of America Online. Call 1-800-GATEWAY, where people rule.
When we asked some denture wearers why they don't use an adhesive, they didn't have a whole lot to say.
I don't need it. My dentures fit fine, thanks.
I've not had a problem in 15 years.
But then they tried Fixodent, and they couldn't say enough.
Makes them feel a lot more natural. I just plain forget I have them.
They actually fit better.
That's because Fixodent gives even the best fitting dentures a better fit.
It just proves you never know until you try.
Fixodent, and forget it.
Introducing Saran Quick Covers.
Cover your lasagna. Cover your pizza. Cover your cantaloupe. Cover your watermelon. Cover your salad.
Saran Quick Covers are the fastest, easiest way to cover just about anything in a snap.
Cover your leftovers.
They stretch easily, they snap snugly. Now you're covered. New Saran Quick Covers. S.C. Johnson, a family company.
Every time I tried to quit smoking, I chewed up more pencils. So my doctor gave me a prescription that, for the first time, makes me feel in control of my cravings. Ask your doctor.
Break the habit. The prescription for help is at hand.
Justice Firestone is wrapping up a massive recall of accident-prone tires. Arch rival Goodyear finds itself the target of a similar government safety investigation involving 27 million popular tires. Federal officials say hundreds of complaints and accidents are involved. They intend to get to the bottom of it. As CBS's Cheryl Atkinson found in this Eye on America investigation, some of the crashes were deadly.
Do you feel like your Air Force Colonel Gary Seitz was on duty in Saudi Arabia when the GMC Suburban he was riding in went out of control?
I recall feeling the vehicle swerve, and I remember grabbing hold of the seat. And the next thing I remember is waking up 2 days later in the hospital.
The tread on a Goodyear tire had peeled to shreds, causing the SUV to repeatedly flip. 3 died. Seitz and 2 others were injured. After the Air Force recorded 5 more accidents within a month, it removed all Goodyear tires from its SUVs. That was 1997. In this deposition for an upcoming trial, Goodyear engineer Bill Robinson says the tire maker had identified a trend as early as the year before, around the time this accident paralyzed a Los Angeles police officer.
Those claims were growing at an alarming rate from a few, like 10, to a growing amount in a short period of time to, 100 or going up from there.
Since 1996, Goodyear has been redesigning the problem tires, replacing thousands that failed in what critics call a silent recall, but leaving unsuspecting consumers riding around on millions more. The preliminary investigation involves 27 million load-range E light truck tires, Wrangler AT, HT, and all-season Workhorse, and Kelly Springfield Powerkind and Trailbuster, also made by Goodyear. The tires allegedly caused 15 deaths. and 129 injuries. Today, Goodyear issued a statement saying the problem may be people overloading vehicles and driving on underinflated tires, adding that 3 separate teams of Goodyear engineers spent almost 2 years looking into the problem, but found nothing wrong with load range E tires. 3 years after his accident, Sight says his recovery will never be complete.
Any of the pain and anguish or emotion I've experienced is nothing compared to the loss felt by the families of my team members who didn't return from that deployment.
His remaining question is one of the central questions in the federal inquiry. Why, even during the Firestone investigation, did Goodyear keep quiet about its problem? In Baltimore, this is Cheryl Atkinson for Eye on America.
On the CBS Market Watch, stocks closed mixed today. The Dow Blue Chips managed a 31-point gain. The Nasdaq lost 4 points as investors dumped more tech stocks. Overseas, no let-up in the Mideast violence today. At least 3 people died, and as darkness fell, the Israeli army started moving tanks into the Gaza Strip. Earlier, Egypt pulled its ambassador out of Israel in protest of an Israeli helicopter attack on Yasser Arafat's Gaza headquarters that wounded more than 60 people. Next up on the CBS Evening News, Buffalo bogged down in a blizzard. Plus, Thanksgiving's almost here. Will your flight get you there in time?
I'm ready as anybody can be.
Are you ready to ask your doctor about Viagra? Get ready. Ask your doctor if a free sample of Viagra is right for you.
Well, I'm ready for you. I hope you're ready for me.
Oh. Can't sleep, honey? What's the matter? Oh, heartburn. I know just what you need.
Introducing new Alka-Seltzer Heartburn Relief. Faster than Pepcid, Zantac, or even the leading prescription. Alka-Seltzer Heartburn Relief. Cool, effervescent, specially formulated to put out the fire of heartburn fast.
Better, dear.
New Alka-Seltzer Heartburn Relief. Nothing puts out the fire faster.
I see lots of people with allergies, but the ones with multi-symptom nasal allergies, they're suffering from it all. The sneezing, itchy, runny nose, the nasal congestion. For that kind of allergy, I prescribe multi-symptom Flonase.
Flonase nasal spray once a day relieves nasal allergy symptoms all day and night.
All it takes is Flonase.
The #1 prescribed nasal allergy spray. Even kids as young as 4 can use Flonase. For best results, use daily. If side effects occur, they are generally mild and may include headache, nosebleed, or sore throat. Call to learn more. Ask your doctor about multi-symptom Flonase.
When you get it all it takes is Flonase.
I've got a client, a single woman who's 59 years old. She'd planned to retire at 62. I figured out that with a combination of annuities, she could do it 3 years sooner. To give somebody an extra 3 years of freedom to do whatever they want, that's a great feeling. You're in good hands with Allstate. Mine.
Look! Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Ellie's renting again. And Enterprise picked her up again. She said Enterprise picks her up free. Free? Free. Now that makes renting easy.
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
The CBS Weather Watch shows much of the north is getting a pre-Thanksgiving taste of winter thanks to a Canadian cold front. But freezing temperatures don't bother folks much in places like Buffalo. Tonight, as CBS's Russ Mitchell reports, they're bracing for more of what will be remembered as the blizzard of 2000.
Not even snow-savvy Buffalo was ready for this.
I think I'm still dreaming. I can't believe this is happening to me.
It was the city's most destructive snowstorm in nearly a quarter century. For more than 8 hours yesterday, wall after wall of white fell at a rate of 3 inches per hour. Thousands of kids who couldn't get home had to spend the night at school. Even walking wasn't advised. And drivers were stuck, trying to figure it out.
We were driving in the snow yesterday for about 4 hours. Got stuck. Cars parked around the block.
As Buffalo dug out today, forecasters confirmed the culprit. Lake effect snow. Cold winds crossing the relatively warm waters of Lake Erie, creating an unstable atmosphere. Meteorologists knew a storm was coming, but
I think we were caught a little short, however, on the intensity. Normally, snowfall rates in these snow squalls can vary anywhere from 1 to 3 inches. Obviously, this one was a more extreme event.
A lot more extreme.
They say on the TV and the radio it's bad, but this is really bad.
And it may get worse. More snow is expected in the coming days, adding to the 42 inches that have already fallen this month, a new record. Russ Mitchell, CBS News, New York.
Except for the eastern Great Lakes, weather is not expected to be much of a problem for Thanksgiving travelers, but that doesn't mean flying this most heavily traveled holiday weekend is going to be easy. CBS's Cynthia Bowers is at Chicago's O'Hare Airport. Cynthia?
Dan, a record 21 million Americans are expected to take to the skies over the next 5 days. And following a summer meltdown in the airline industry that saw thousands of delays and canceled flights, more trouble could be as close as your gate. Next slide, please. There are already lines inside airports around the country, but there are lines outside as well. Flight attendants at the nation's 2 largest airlines, American and United, are protesting. And if that's not bad enough, United has trouble with its mechanics, too. The carrier went to court to stop a holiday work slowdown after its maintenance groundings jumped by as many as 50 flights a day.
This was not an easy step for us. In fact, it was a very regrettable step. But at the end of the day, it has to be our customers that come first.
Northwest took similar action after it says maintenance cancellations there jumped 145% in just the last week. Another major carrier, Delta, is already warning its passengers of possible delays and cancellations because its pilots have adopted a no overtime policy, a strategy that worked last summer for pilots at United, who forced the airline to cancel thousands of flights, but still managed to negotiate an industry-leading contract.
Every airline pilots group and machinist group wants to be the industry-leading union.
All the flying public wants is to get there in time for Thanksgiving, but that may not happen.
I would get myself ready for the eventuality that I can't make the trip.
No one will predict whether there will be any major disruptions. Now, the big fear, of course, is what if on top of everything else, we do get some of that bad weather? Dan?
Cynthia Bowers in Chicago. We have an update for you tonight on the story of bioengineered corn not approved for human consumption getting into the food chain. The makers of the Starlink corn in question say the controversial protein in the corn that may cause allergic reactions in humans has now turned up in corn other than Starlink. The Starlink people say they have no idea how this happened. Up next on the CBS Evening News, the Chad has a dad. You will meet him in a moment.
Is my meeting today in the morning or the afternoon?
Afternoon.
My office.
Her office.
Good. Love you.
Electronic organizers. Just one of hundreds of business gift ideas in Office Depot's Holiday Gift Guide. Pick one up at the Office Depot Superstore near you.
Oh, and it's your mom's birthday Friday.
Taking care of business for the holidays.
A 4-minute mile. A pole vault of 20 feet. A perfect 10. The experts said these could never happen. What do they know?
Nothing brightens your child's day like their favorite songs.
I'm a little teapot.
Now Time Life Music brings you a new collection. 100 Best Love Songs for Kids for just $24.99.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Rock-a-bye, baby, on the treetop.
100 Songs for Kids on 4 CDs or 4 cassettes for just $24.99.
Incy Wincy Spider went up the wall.
100 100 Songs for Kids. If you're not completely satisfied, Time Life will refund every penny of your purchase price. So call now for 100 Songs for Kids.
To order 100 Songs for Kids, call 1-800-865-7474. Send $24.99 for 4 CDs or 4 cassettes, plus $4.99 shipping and handling to the address on your screen.
You probably know, as it's often been stated, giving holiday gifts can be quite complicated. The post office is where you should go, no doubt. You can pack up your stuff and ship it on out. Get last-minute gifts if you've got a late start. Even rush them away to arrive Christmas Day, in case you've had a sudden change of heart.
Fly like an eagle.
Coming up tonight at 6, police in Dixon find and detonate a car bomb. They say it may have been designed for a woman who lived nearby. We'll have details tonight at 6.
Looking ahead now, in the battle for the White House, we wait for Florida's highest state court to decide whether votes counted and recounted by hand must be included in the state's final tally. Also to be decided whether the court will set a deadline and standards, rules for the counts. Bush lawyers argue the court lacks jurisdiction to set such rules. Gore lawyers say that the Republicans are simply stalling, trying to run out the clock. The much maligned voting system used in parts of Florida has at least one defender. CBS's John Blackstone tracked down the man who invented the machine that has cost so many people their vote, a machine that slices and dices and has a name like a kitchen gadget.
Some of those in Florida straining to read little holes in computer cards are undoubtedly cursing whoever thought up this system. He is William Ruverall, a retired professor of engineering, who still professes great faith in his invention.
When it's used properly, it's faster and cheaper.
It was in 1962 that Professor Ruverall drew up detailed plans for the Votomatic, which is still used by about a third of the nation's voters.
Has it been a little painful, though, listening to all this criticism?
More instructive than painful. I love a problem.
And Ruverall thinks he has an answer to the Chad problem, though he refuses to share it until he gets new plans to the patent office.
So you don't think the Votomatic's day is past by any means?
No. It may be just beginning.
In fact, he says, almost 40 years ago, he and his partner designed several tools to give just the right leverage for poking perfect holes.
Some people are timid. They don't attack the stylus in the card vigorously.
The really timid, they knew, might leave just a bump.
Certainly we didn't call it a dimple Chad.
The fact is that for 35 years, most people haven't heard of a Chad until now.
That's right.
Your system pretty much worked.
Yeah, and it's had a good record.
Don't blame the Votomatic for the mess in Florida, Ruverall insists. Blame the butterfly ballot.
That led to all kinds of grief, and we could have predicted it.
His machine was designed to show only one page at a time, but Ruverall hopes to make the new machine so easy, even Florida election officials can use it.
Back to the drawing board.
Back to the drawing board, exactly.
John Blackstone, CBS News, Berkeley, California.
And that's part of our world tonight. I'll be back later here on CBS with 60 Minutes, too.
The Nazis didn't want anybody to find what they buried at the bottom of this lake. But 55 years later, we found it. And where can you find Lawrence of Arabia, Henry II, and Peter O'Toole? Only on 60 Minutes, too.
60 Minutes, too, tonight at 8 Central Time. Till then, Dan Rather reporting for the CBS Evening News. Have a good evening.
For news 24 hours a day, CBS.com on the internet and on our interactive partner, America Online, at keyword CBS News.
CBS
malnutrition, dehydration,
hard-hitting investigations from the best team in the business. Eye on America, only on the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather. This is CBS.
Coming up on News.